so much for coming out. God bless you. Thank you for coming out. Thank you so much. Bless you. Bless you. Thank you for coming out. Good to see you, man. Welcome back, my brother. Good to see you. Welcome to the show. I'm Derek Davis, and this is Trendnation. We have a special show for you guys today, and we're also taping with a live audience. This is a first for Trendnation. Every year since 1915, in the month of February, we celebrate our heritage. Black History Month grew out of Negro History Week, the brainchild of noted historian Carter G. Woodson and other prominent African Americans. In this Black History episode, Black History and the Black Man, we will discuss if our generation now would have been able to survive in our history then. It's going to be very interesting. Let me introduce my cast members. We have Dante Rice, Chris Greer, and my man Walter Jones.
Right now is we're going to talk about caveman. Now, let me ask some questions to our studio audience. Human beings during the Stone Age were divided into three groups: hunters, gatherers, and farmers. Which group do you consider yourself to be?
I would say I am a gatherer,
Okay, and why?
because I would like to gather folks and bring them to update it and educate them as far as from what was back then to now.
Okay, I see. Anybody else? Would you consider yourself a hunter, a gatherer, or a farmer? Yes.
Well, I would consider myself a hunter.
Okay, and why would you consider yourself that?
I mean, just looking at how society is today, and even if I was back then, and the mentality that God has blessed me with, I would be hunting to make sure that our families eat.
Okay, all right, thank you. Now I have another question for you. Without the things that we use now, how would you survive? You know, the things like we have, like Wi-Fi and electrical things like that. How would you survive if you were in caveman days?
You live off the land.
I'm sorry?
I think you'd have to figure out how to live before.
Right, of
You
course.
can't just show up in technology.
Right.
So we would have to take the time to relearn what we've already mastered and go back to learning how to survive off the fat of the land.
Ah, okay. So we couldn't have no Wi-Fi out in the cave. There would be no Wi-Fi in the cave.
Okay.
Now, do you think that things are simpler now or simpler then? You know, is it more, matter of fact, scratch that. Is it more dangerous to live in the days of the cavemen or modern day Chicago? Uh-oh, here we go.
I would say it's more dangerous now.
Why you say that?
I say that because all of this technology is out and there's no privacy. You're seen by them.
Who was them? Okay, we'll come back to that. But you're seen by them.
You're seen by them. Everything you say, everything you do, there's no privacy. Everything is set up to be on one thing, one world.
One world.
So that's dangerous. That's more dangerous than the caveman's days.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. You have something? Here we go.
Okay, now, in modern times, it's more dangerous
Why?
because the media has portrayed us and brainwashed us to see what they want us to see, not what God wants us to see.
Ah, okay.
Because what they put on is not really what we want to see, but what they want us to fulfill our minds with.
I see what you're saying.
They want to mold us into their thinking because they can't control us. So they figure what we go with the most is the TV.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, thank you very much. Now, what we're going to do right now is we're going to go into our next segment. Stay tuned. This is Trend Nation.
Now, I'm Walter Jones, and I have a question this evening. My question would be, if you were living in the era, what era would you prefer to live in? The Stone Age or slavery? So I would like to ask that question of you all. Would you like to answer that question for me? You do.
Yes. I would rather prefer to live in the Stone Age besides slavery. And the reason why, because I'm a rebel.
You're a rebel.
I'm a rebel. Because I walk with Jesus Christ, I'm automatically a rebel against what society is talking about.
So if I hear you correctly, you said Stone Age.
Yes, the Stone Age.
Okay, and how about any of you? Stone Age of slavery?
Stone Age is more like it because I'm a tomboy. I'm not gonna lie, because I wouldn't be stuck in trying to live by a society of how a woman should dress or how she look, how her hair should be, or what she do. That's so-called woman's work, especially black women.
Okay. Any other?
Okay. Now, from what I have detected and what has been told to me from passed down, I would consider living in the Stone Age because my first mind was to live in slavery. Even though we are mentally slaves, we are mental slaves, but I would rather go to the Stone Age because I would like to put in the future, set it up so that we would already be free already.
So you say Stone Age.
I say Stone Age.
Thank you so much. And you, Stone Age.
I said Stone Age.
And you.
Stone Age.
So would you have a thought?
Yeah, Stone Age too.
And
The
why?
only reason why I would live in the Stone Age is that you won't be having to deal with violence in the Stone Age.
Okay. You don't think?
No, you won't.
Do you have a comment?
I agree that Stone Age was probably an easier time for man because we were all on one playing field. So there was no barriers as far as the color of your skin, things that held you back because somebody looked at you and automatically made a judgment and assumed you were an animal. We were all cavemen trying to survive in a society that was just all new to all of us. It was like newborn babies. We were all learning.
But I want to thank all of you. But I have one that's a little bit more deeper than that. The question I would propose now would be, if you had a preference and you had to protect yourself from some person or some entity, would you prefer to protect yourself from an animal, a wild animal, or a white man?
I much prefer an animal still because animals are like men still, regardless how you put it. They all are still
say
animals.
wild animal.
Yes, they're animals.
Would you have a comment?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
I don't know how to.
It's your question. Your preference.
I feel that I can't compare those two.
You can.
And the reason why is, I have white blood in me. So, I can't, to me that comment, I don't know how to answer that question.
You don't?
I mean, of course, I would rather be in the midst of not a wild animal at all, under any circumstances. So, yeah, that answers that.
So, do anyone else have a comment? Please.
Well, I put it like this. We are all of animalistic characters. So basically, we're protecting ourselves. So in that case, I would answer to protect myself from the white man.
Okay.
Well, I personally would say the white man, even though I have white blood in me too. And I would say the white man because looking at what's been going on in society and looking at how the black man or the man of color period has been decriminalized by the white man, I have better chances surviving from a wild animal than I do dealing with a white man.
Well, there you have it. Some people would rather live in the wild than to live in our society, which concluded, all men, white man, black man, Chinese.
Actually, they said if they had to protect themselves from someone, they would prefer to protect themselves from wild animal, and one said from a white man.
But you would have to go in a little deeper than that, as in regards to what is your definition of a white man?
European?
Well, you know what? I think we live in a society right now where it's kind of like being in the Stone Age. It's kind of like a go for what you know type of lifestyle now. At least it's not like that everywhere, because there's some people that actually live in rural parts of the country and the world, where they don't have to go through some of the things that may give us PTSD for living in the city. We live in an urban situation, so I think that animalistically, I think that we will probably be, how can I say, it'll be an even score. If we had to deal with wild animals. We're talking about pterodactyls and all the rest of those other dinosaurs and stuff coming out of everything, swooping down on your stuff. You're talking about all kinds of animals. Right. And actually to just put in the classification of just putting one race against another, actually it would be animals against the whole human race.
And I think that's how we started off. We was talking about the Stone Age, right? And we was talking about slavery.
Right. I see, because it all kinds of ties in together. But when it all is said and done, it's about just surviving in whatever society, whatever environment that you're in.
Right.
I like that.
Yeah.
So the challenge is just being able to survive.
Exactly. Just being able to survive, whether you're black, white, Indian, Puerto Rican, Mexican, whatever, gay, straight, transgender, anything. Everybody has their instinct, just like any other animal, in order to survive.
Well, in all honesty, we all are animals. It's just different levels.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
So thank you all. Thank you all so very much for those comments. Thank you.
All right.
Welcome back. I'm Dante, and this is Trendnation. So today, we're talking about black history and the black man. The question that I want to pose today is, how much does the black man today know about our history of yesterday? Anybody? Let's see here.
Well, according to what I know, everybody is miseducated. According to the book, Miseducation of the Negro. But we need to be educated. It's up to us to go to dig back in the archives and bring it out. As they say, bring it out, bring them back. Take them back now, y'all. Yes? We should do that.
Okay, all right.
And it's not through media. Media ain't gonna tell us, ain't gonna bring us back. It's up to us to go to these places. For example, the Lorraine Hotel. Go down there and see what actually happened. Live through, walk through what Dr. King walked through. Even though the movies tell us, if you watch like Selma, if you watch what was that movie? certain movies that you watch.
But what it sounds like is that you're saying we can't let media dictate how we think.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else?
It depends on the black man himself, of how much he knows about black history. You got some black men that are miseducated, like this man has said, but then you also have other black men that also know, that also dig deep into the history itself, the struggles, the inventions that we use, that we see, that help us a little bit. And they might teach the youth today.
So I guess you're saying, in other words, we need to share more amongst those with more greater knowledge. Need to
Yes.
share more with the youth. So pass it down.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, like she was saying, it may be those who have lived through, and they want to kind of keep that to themselves. It's not for that. It needs to be told.
Pushed out in the open. Yes, sir.
I would say research, and also some of the research, like for instance, I can use my own self for an example. My people, I'm a black Latin, okay? I thought I was just all the way African American. And how I found that out was through asking patriarchs and matriarchs in the family. See, I didn't go to social media, and I tried to read certain books, and it just didn't never really speak about the history of black Latins. See, it always talked about black history or white history. So I had to go further and talk to people in my family, older people, the patriarchs and the matriarchs, to find out why do I have a last name that sounds European? And why do I look a certain way? Why do I have high cheekbones? Why do people call me a mixed breed, the N-word? See what I'm saying? So we have to find out by asking questions from the older people in our families, because society is not going to give it to us. They're going to give us the opposite.
So in other words, I guess searching a little deeper, like Black and Latin America, I think like Henry Louis Gates has something out, which is good, so we need to do further research, essentially. Okay. I also posed a question to my guest here. Same question. And of course, give it up for our audience. So same question to our cast members here. How much do you think we actually know about yesterday's history?
I agree with our studio audience, and each individual had something very pertinent to just Black history and us learning more about ourselves. I think we should read more, about our history. The Miseducation of the Negro was a good book. Basically also our ancestors, my grandmother is still alive, so they have a lot of knowledge and understanding of where we've been and what our history consists of. So, and also going to visit the places. I went to Atlanta and seeing the Dr. Martin Luther King, where he did a speech and everything. So it's all of that. It's a conglomerate of all of that, I believe.
Exactly. I agree with what Marvin said. Marvin was saying that meeting with the patriarchs and the matriarchs of your family, those are living testimonies and living legends that personally belong to your own family. And you'll find that some of those people marched across the Pettus Bridge with Martin Luther King. Some of them went to Emmett Till's funeral. That was right there on Cottage Grove. If you talk to the elders in your own family, you'll find out a whole lot of stuff that you might not even find in a history book.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to talk to our elders, respect our elders, and keep learning. Continuously be a student. Read more. Me myself, I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of reading because I just have that thirst for it. But and it helps to have a show like this that would actually show people that, you know, hey, maybe I'll start doing that. Maybe I'll go see Selma, like DDA said. You know, all these other different avenues that we can partake in order to, you know, increase our mind.
Well, Dante, I think it's credence to everything someone was saying, but I think the most important thing is to know your history. Because if you don't know your history, you repeat it.
Exactly.
And one's past can be a hindrance to one's future if you don't know your past. So what we've experienced through our ancestors and the shoulders that we stand on, we experience through history, through reading, the plight that our foreparents had to go through, do with slavery, civil rights, and so on, the Reconstruction, and so on. But now, had we not read, or our elders taught us, then we would repeat that. Just like now, we're prone now to, slavery still exists. All right, it's just not in the fields, it's with your electronics now. You know, so now you're being institutionalized, slavery, as opposed to in the field.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that though everyone very valid points. And I just want to move on to a second portion to this question, kind of, and we're gonna just kind of direct it a little bit different direction. So, I guess we could say about 246 years ago, roughly, in December, Liberation Day came when, of course, our president at the time was Abraham Lincoln through the Emancipation Proclamation. But this is the question I really have at this point. So, I mean, are we advancing as a community? And I kind of want to break it up into decades, just 3 of them. So let's say from like the 40s to like the 60s, or maybe even not so much as breaking it up into decades. Do we feel, let's say in the past 50, 60 years since our parents' lifetime, let's say, do you all feel as though we're progressing through what would be considered slavery?
You're talking about the movement.
Just right. If we, as far as just self-knowledge and self-empowerment, or just everything, the movement in general.
I have to disagree. I think through the 50s, through the 40s, 50s, 60s, civil rights movement, Reconstruction, folks were united. Folks were fighting together. Folks had a goal. Folks were on the picket line. The Black Panthers. We had Love Yourself, Black Power, Up with Hope, Down with, you know, we was moving as a group of people. Now it's every man for himself. You know, get yours, I got mine. And so now our children are suffering as a result of that, because, you know, it was a conspiracy, I believe, to take out the head. Because if you take out the head, the body would go. So now there's no head in the community. So now we're searching, where's our leaders? Where's our leaders? Where's our leaders? Because now if you don't have anyone being the leader, then you can just destroy the community.
Yeah, piece by piece.
So,
by piece.
so what do you think we need to do? Do you think we need a leader to help us
To
mobilize and organize? Do we need better organization?
I think we need to love each other first and respect each other. All right?
Well, we got to love ourselves.
Well, of course you have to love yourself. Of course, I agree with that. I agree you have to love yourself, and I'm hoping that you do. But for those who don't, you know, love me then if you don't love yourself. All right? But because I do care, all right? I do care about you, and I have your best interest at heart. I wouldn't take advantage of you. But in lieu of that, I would think if we would just come back to back our parents, our ancestors, they came from Africa, they came from the South, and there's a certain culture, there's a certain norm, there's a certain respect, there's a certain reverence that we had for our people. If you hurt, I hurt. If you was hungry, I'm hungry. And then we would also go out there and make sure everybody ate. Come on, I know y'all remember back in the day when we used to all share food and stuff with each other. That came from our history.
them times when you used to get in trouble. And
Down the street.
Jones down the
street.
Get your buddy
Down the street. And so what happened to that? What happened to
the
it?
thing
The
is,
family unit is gone.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
What
The family
happened?
unit is gone.
I'm sorry, but what happened with that was that Big Mama and all that changed. You know, they became a lot younger, and then they had a different type of mindset. And then after that mindset changed, so did the community, then so did our world.
So that's that's beautiful again with the way we are thinking nowadays. But again, just like thank everyone, our studio audience, and this is Trend Nation. And we'll be right back.
Good topic. Good topic. Thank you. That was good stuff. Yeah. Good question. I really appreciate that one.
That was a real question.
Welcome back to Trend Nation. I am Phoebe Crape, your trendy beat correspondent. I want to call myself a diva, but we'll wait. We'll wait for that. Well, I have a question, your trendy question, but we want to start off by saying some people may argue that the role of a black man in 2018 has significantly changed from, let's say, from over the past 40 to 50 years. Whether it's good or bad, chosen or forced. So I would like to pose this question to the gentlemen today. Okay? To you fellas, do you think the black man role has changed? And if so, how?
That's
Do
good.
you want to
I
start,
like that
Walter?
one. I like that one.
You want to start?
I really do. I mean, I think, listen, I'm really passionate about being a man, and I love being a man, and I love being a real man, because I believe a real man is a man that's responsible and a provider and a protector of his family. I just believe in that. I don't personally see that today, all right? You know, I see folks faking as if they're men, you know, misguiding themselves as being men, but they ain't holding it down like men, you know, because men ain't just out there, you know, flopping around and trying to do anything they want to do. Men is really trying to hold down their own responsibilities, take care of their own families, and make sure they leave a lasting, they leave an inheritance for their children and their children's children. And they don't let anything happen in their neighborhoods.
Wow, that's really good. I mean, what about you, Christopher?
I think that the whole dynamic has changed. When I think about a man, I think about my father. My father was a man's man. You know, he's a man who raised men.
Okay. Okay.
So what I try to do is I have 4 sons of myself, and I try to pass that on to my sons and make them the men that I can send out to the world. Then they will be upstanding quality men. Now, of course, that's how it is in my circle. When it comes to our neighborhoods and things like that, it has changed.
Yes, sir.
It has changed because the dynamic of our families have changed. You know, there are less fathers in homes with kids growing up nowadays. It has dramatically changed since the 60s up until now. It just got worse and worse. But I applaud the men that are out there raising the kids, taking care of the kids, without the government telling you to take care of your kids. Amen. Because for one thing, that you need to get up off your butt, put down that controller.
Old school.
Real talk.
And go out there and feed your kids. Oh, I don't want to work for McDonald's. That's only $11 an hour. You know what? Work for McDonald's and work for Burger King. Put them together, you got $22 an hour. Get your butt out. So that's how I feel about it.
I agree with you.
A man needs to be a man. Stand up, be a man. That's it. Cut and dry.
Wow, that's great. That is really great. What about Dante? What is your thoughts?
You know,
What are your thoughts?
you know, I'm very passionate about, and like I love being a man. A lot of times I look and I say, man, if I was a woman, I would be in trouble. 'Cause, y'all go through a lot, you know, seriously. And I really hold a woman up in reverence, you know, because you all deal with a lot. Especially with like he was saying, it's not a lot of men in the household. So you all are pretty much running everything. You working, you cooking, you cleaning, basketball, soccer,
Discipline.
Yeah, everything. Discipline, especially disciplining young men to raise them to be older men. So I say all of that with being said, I definitely agree that the role of men has changed. And I don't think it's by mistake either, though. It could get a lot deeper, But I do think that some of the roles, especially in when you look at corporate America and you look at the black man and where he's seated amongst a lot of other individuals, we'll say. So I definitely think it has changed a lot. But the black woman, again, I hold up in reverence for everything that they do.
We thank you to all black women. Got you. Army strong. There you go. Well, we want to step over here to Mr. Derek. What are your thoughts?
In today's society, it has definitely changed from back in the day. I mean, I'm old school because I guess my grandparents were instrumental in raising me. And my great-grandfather was just a man's man. And I mean, today, you know, you see men still wearing their pants hanging and the drawers showing, and you know, when you enter a building, you're supposed to take your hat off. It's certain things like that that they don't know, and even if you tell them, they looking at you like, "This is my hat,"
Right.
you know. So, in regards to raising a family, I mean, you got to do what you have to do. But I don't feel that punching a clock is going to leave your children's children an inheritance. So I believe in entrepreneurship and going out there and creating your own and utilizing all the gifts that God has given us, not just one specific gift.
Okay, I love that. All the answers were so great. And you all keep in mind that value is important too. The man raising their children in their household with value. Okay, and I thank you all for your questions. I wouldn't say lovely because you're men. So thank you so much. Your answers was great. And thank you for watching Trendy Diva. I want to be a diva. Help me. Your Trendy Bee correspondent, I'm Phoebe Craig. Thank you. Bye.
I would like to take a moment of silence to acknowledge the recent loss of lives in Florida, as well as here in our city with the police commander who was killed. These tragedies, which has become a norm in our society, needs a solution. It has become a regular occurrence, and we have to really address what we can do to affect these changes. So what are you doing in your neighborhood, in your community, in your homes to make our situation a better place to live in? Thank you for watching Trendnation. I'm Derek Davis.
It's been a pleasure. I'm Walter Jones.
Dante Rice. Chris Gray. Tune in to us next time.